Welcome to Hornbill TV's Explainer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Al Nguli. Do you know that the former Chief Minister of UP Mulayam Singh Yadav has suggested during 2010 that the Women Reservation Bill should not be enacted because it had the potential to encourage male parliamentarians to whistle at their female colleagues. The issue of reservation of seats for women in India have long, tumultuous and often violent history. On September 19 this year, the government introduced the Constitution 128 Amendment Bill 2023 to reserve 33% seats for women in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. The quota will be applicable to the reserved seats for the SCs and STs as well. The law to reserve seats for women in the parliament and assemblies had been pending since the mid-90s. However, several years before the bill was first brought in Parliament, there were two breakthrough amendments to the Constitution which led to changes again to give reservation to women in rural and urban local bodies too. The 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts mandated the reservation of one-third of seats for women in Panchayati Raj institutions and offices of the chairperson at all levels of the Panchayati Raj institutions and in urban local bodies. These are exciting times for women of Nagaland, ladies and gentlemen. The historic act will mean women now have a voice in municipal institutions now that the Nagaland government has already approved the Nagaland Municipal Act of 2023. What does this mean for Naga women? What might be its impact on Naga tribal and community politics? Today, Hornbill TV has a special guest to talk about some of these questions and concerns. We have a respected community member and a relevant voice from the judiciary itself. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joshua Sheki. Mr. Sheki is an advocate at the Kohima bench of the Guwahati High Court, and he will be engaging in conversation with Hornbill TV in regard to what might be the way forward for women in Nagaland now that the reservation of seats for women in the municipal institutions of the state is now a reality. Welcome to Hornbill TV, and for joining us even amid your busy schedule, Mr. Sheki. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me impromptu, but I think I'm privileged to be part of this conversation that you are initiating. Thanks to Hornbill TV.
Yeah, we thank you because I think you were in the middle of a meeting when I called you, right? I don't think you are going to disclose to us whatever you guys were talking about, right? Yeah. So we really appreciate it. But I think we'll have to divulge all the secrets later on, right after we have talked about the women reservation bill. So I mean, like you have been at the heart of this whole conversation about women's reservation bill in Nagaland, Mr. Sheki, and I think we have had conversations in this regard even before the bill was tabled in the assembly, right?
Yes, exactly.
So
in fact, the year 2023 is a year of blessing for Naga women.
Right.
Because we've had a breakthrough in two lady legislators, the first in the state of Nagaland, in the state assembly, and further again today, it's a major step, a major win, major victory for the Naga ladies.
Right.
That this municipal act that has prompted a lot of unwanted situations in the state, not because the women were wrong.
Right.
In the first place, the Naga man, as a man, we have to realize that I think not only the others, but I also have certain areas of reservation that I will not deny that, even though it's on a live TV. But as far as reservation into the decision-making bodies are concerned, this has been the need of the hour. It's a constitutional obligation. It is not an obligation that that we can't say that it interferes with the Article 371A and all. And now, thanks to the state government led by the Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Rio, and his cabinet colleagues, all his colleagues, I think it's a collective effort that has finally led to this fruition of making this bill a reality. So it's a privilege for all of us, privilege for women in Nagaland, and we look forward to women representing the women folks in the decision-making body, in the municipal bodies also. State Assembly, we already have 2 representatives, powerful representatives. It's a great step ahead.
Okay. Do you think the Municipal Act 2023 is a victory for women in Nagaland who have been seeking a greater voice in the municipal institutions, or do you think is it just a more politically correct version of the old Municipal Act 2001? Is it a washed down version?
Yes, I would say it's a victory for women for the fact that if we look at our customary institutions, you know, there has been no opportunity, generally there has been no opportunity for women in the decision making in the village, even in the village level. So that itself interprets to the fact that it is a requirement. If they were represented, then where is the question of the talk of reservation?
Right.
Even if it is a constitutional obligation. But the very fact that they were never given the opportunity to be represented, that itself requires reservation to be given to them. So for many women who has never been given the opportunity to represent in the decision-making bodies, this is the first step, and this is a major victory for women. That's how I see.
So I'm just curious here, Mr. Sheikhi, the government has now decided that the reservation of seats for women will go ahead in its exact percentage, which is 32%. So now that the seats have already been given, but the clause where it says that women will not be given reservation in the post concerning the chairperson. So what is the difference, keeping one side reserved and the other side unreserved but an open category? What is the difference? I think you'll be able to tell us more because you're a lawyer here. Yeah, what is the difference?
Not strictly from the legal point of view, but I would say that it's actually reasonable. In fact, as far as the chairperson or vice chairperson is concerned, I don't think there should be reservation as such, because once the representatives, you know, are elected or selected, whichever way it happens,
I see.
the chairperson or the vice chairperson, definitely somebody with merit, and then it doesn't mean that women cannot become chairperson or vice chairperson. They can also become the chairman, the chairperson, chairman. I think it's an interchangeable usage can be used for both genders also. If they can prove that they are capable, then
right,
definitely they will also get the opportunity to become the chairperson. It does not necessarily have to be reserved. So in that sense, I think the legislation is correct. And that way it also appeases some of those with huge negative mentality towards why should there be any reservation for women in the decision-making process. It's time that we come out from that kind of mentality, from that cocoon. And it is partially a victory for them also, but largely a victory for women because they are now represented. And we will definitely see a women chairperson, women chairman, women vice chairman also very soon, since they now have the opportunity to be represented within the 33% reservation. Outside that also they can contest. It's just like the reservation policy in the employment also. It doesn't mean that they cannot compete in the general category. So not necessary that it has to be resolved. I mean, reserved. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right, right. So, but at least the reservation is intact, especially in the open category. So, I think right now the issue would not necessarily be about whether you are supposed to fill up the quotas or not, right? What if, if in case, if there are no women coming up, do you have to nominate them?
Definitely there will be lots of women interested in this. And I don't think there will be any seat which will not be contested by women. Times have changed where it's not like the olden days where women would be so timid, not willing to contest and all. Now even in the reserve seats also there will be 100%, I'm 100% sure that there will be fair contest
right,
within amongst the women candidates.
Yeah, I think so. I think that kind of a vibe was already being given before 2017, before the violence broke out, that there were actually a lot of women, for example, in Bihar, at least out of about 200 seats, 126 female candidates were there. So that was a very big number in there. So this time I think we can expect that. So my question to you is, what according to you would have been the positive or the adverse impact if the changes to the current act was not made? What might be the outcome in case the government didn't do anything and the status quo was maintained, Mr. Sheki?
Definitely, even in the general seats also, if I'm not wrong, it's just my own opinion, but just like the general elections where we've seen a surprise and a positive outcome in having two powerful women MLAs,
Right.
I think women would have contested anyways, because the path breaker, we have already seen two powerful women being the path breaker in the state legislative assembly elections. So somebody would definitely have contested against man, but with this again reservation policy already in place, we can see more women participation.
Okay. I remember this only now. I think we have a case going on in the Supreme Court, right, Mr. Shaikh?
Yes.
What happens to that now? What happens to that?
Now that we have already, passed the bill, the job of the Honorable Supreme Court, which I am not to comment on how the proceeding has to go, because that will be sub judice. But as far as my understanding goes, now the subject matter to be decided by the Honorable Supreme Court is when is the election to be conducted, because the bill is already passed. It has become an act.
Okay, so basically what you're trying to say here is that I think it will be automatic for the Supreme Court to throw it out because now the act is already in place. Is that so?
Yes. Now, when will the election be conducted? That should be the major concern now.
Yeah. So now we won't be having that much of your time here because, like I said, we were in a meeting earlier. So I'll just ask you this for now, Mr. Sheki. Do you believe there can be true equity and equality in important decision-making forums such as the municipal bodies when women get the opportunity by reservation? Do you think that it is in fact counterintuitive to the very goals of equality in the first place? So do you think this is real equality?
That's actually a very technical question, and sounds a little difficult to reply also, but let me reply in a very simple language.
Okay.
Even if, there are reservation policies in the central service, also state service. Even if you are appointed through reservation, it doesn't mean that you are lesser officer than the others. The same principle also applies to these municipal bodies where once you are elected, you are an equal member with the others. And it doesn't mean that your voice can be curbed for the fact that you came through reservation policy. So it doesn't matter. Once you're a member, you have equal power and then equal responsibility, equal authority with the others.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Sheki, and I believe that we'll be having more conversations in this regard. And all the best for your meetings, but I'll be calling you later on again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you.
All right.
The issue of reserving seats for women in Nagaland had been a thorn in the side of the Nagaland government for more than a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, in tribal communities such as Nagaland, the idea of reserving seats for women had never been smooth sailing. The reasons were very simple, and there were multiple, of course. Naga tribal practices had traditionally been male-led. The communities viewed the legislation as an affront and an infringement on the traditional institutions of the Naga people. Again, another section also felt that reserving seats for women also was counterintuitive to the idea of fair competition, Naga or no Naga. The logic was that if men had no option for themselves, but to use generally own clout, own skills, own experience, own resources, own money to prove their mettle, and to be able to secure positions, why shouldn't women qualify with the same qualifications in order to be in the municipal institutions, for example? So that was another reason for the opposition to raise. A third reason was this: Nagaland was perhaps the only state in India where urban local body seats was not reserved for women as mandated by clause 4 of the 74th Amendment to the Constitution of India. Most of the community organizations opposed the 33% reservation, as they believe that the reservation violates the special provisions granted by Article 371A of the Constitution of India. The article states that no act of parliament would apply to the religious or social practices of the Nagas, Naga customary law and procedure, administration of civil and criminal justice involving decisions according to Naga customary law, ownership and transfer of land and its resources. The opposition led to the February 2017 violence in Dimapur, when mob violence led to the death of 2 youths and causing injury to several others. The Nagaland government during that time then decided to withhold the municipal elections. Ladies and gentlemen, now 6 years after the violence, the matter seems to have found its peace. The Nagaland Municipal Bill 2023 of Nagaland has been passed, and now it has officially scrapped the Nagaland Municipal Act of 2001. The Nagaland Legislative Assembly passed the bill during a special session of the Assembly on November 9th in Kohima. The 2023 bill is now an act, ladies and gentlemen. Did you read the caption to this video saying there was no reservation for women? That was actually to draw your attention so that you'd be watching credible news channels like HornbillTV. So that's why we wrote that, to attract your attention. Of course, there is no reservation for women only to the post of chairperson in the municipal councils and institutions. The reservation of seats, 33%, is intact though. So congratulations to all our women out there. The bill was introduced on September 12, but was withdrawn in the first assembly session as some changes had to be made again. The special session meant that the bill was introduced today in the assembly and passed by the members on the day itself. We do not have all the details, but for now, the 33% reservation of seat for women has been retained, and it is now an act, and everything is intact there except for the post of the chairperson. However, one of the most hotly contested elements was the reservation of seats for women to the post of chairpersons earlier. This clause has been removed. Further, the cost for land and property taxation has been removed from the Act too. There is also a clause for service taxations, which will be taken care of by the elected urban local bodies leaders after consultations with the citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, the rules and the regulations of the provisions will be formulated and introduced by the state government soon. That's what our correspondent in Kohima said. That was a good conversation with Advocate Joshua Sheki of the Kohima bench of the Guwahati High Court. Ladies and gentlemen, there is still much to be done, because state and political community leadership is not always in black and white like legislations and laws, but at least for now the means and the methods are in place. Ladies and gentlemen, our women can participate in decision making. Let's hope for the best in this regard, and as the advocate said earlier, we can now wait for the elections, and I think exciting times are ahead in this regard. Thank you for watching HornbillTV. I'm Alan. See you next time.